topic or next briefing. Ukrainian documentaries in Warland and Ukrainian sheriffs on the documentary festival in Amsterdam. It's my pleasure to invite here two directors, Alisa, the director of the Alisa in Warland movie, and Roman Bondarchuk, the director of the documentary filmmaker Ukrainian sheriffs. You have the floor. Good afternoon. We are fresh from the ITFA festival. This is the largest European documentary festival, maybe the most important the world over, because all the rest of the festivals, they actually include both documentaries and the feature film movies, and this actually demonstrates or includes the new documentaries. We had two Ukrainian documentaries in the which contested within this festival. One of those was my documentary entitled Ukrainian Sheriffs, and we were awarded the jury prize of this contest. Thank you, Roman. Maybe we can see the teaser of your documentary Ukrainian Sheriffs, so please put that on the screen. Good evening, my dear fellow citizens. Today, those people who live here, the Starosborivka is the way we are actually. To keep the public order in the community. Grigorievich, give him back the ideas, and who is not good to keep him out of doors. Everything's okay. Just wait, Nick. Can you stop? You know, there is a special procedure we have to follow when another reality hits the village. The Ukrainian front line near Donetsk, Peski, as of this moment, no civilians are left there. They were evacuated by the Ukrainian servicemen. You have the subpoena. Take it. Why? Here. Let's get in. Ordinary life goes on. Actually, you committed the crime of stealing. You're abuse your office with the word. Someone needs to do their job. Everyone who actually fucked her, if they collect the money, can you imagine what kind of funeral ceremony we could have?
Ми подивилися тізер фільму.
So we just watched the teaser of the Ukrainian Sheriff's documentary. Can you say a few words about the story behind the creation of this documentary? Why this specific topic? Why in the Kherson region? Yeah, and generally speaking, how this document was perceived in the Amsterdam Festival, in addition to being awarded the special prize. Actually, we started 3 years ago. Starosborivka in the Kherson region. I myself, I was born and grew up in Kherson. That's why those people are very close to me, and my wife, and my parents have the summer cottage there on the dacha. And that was it was my pleasure to film this documentary there. In 2013, we took care of the number of different or other documentaries, referring to cycle New Year. So we tried to tell the story of those people who tried in their corrupted conditions, the corrupted Ukraine, tried to defend and protect their rights. And this sheriff tried to defend the right of the people to the plots of land, which were actually a lot of those were stolen. He tried to sue the local officials through the court, and he was arrested based on the faked or they planted bribe, and the whole village actually raised to protect him. So they filmed this documentary about this chairman, the local council, and when we started to get to know more about this village, we came to know that it was next to impossible to call the police there. As a rule, nobody was going there because they lacked the gasoline or anybody who could do that. And actually, this village was very long in its extension. I mean, about 60, 70 kilometers of the under the responsibility of local sheriff. So, and I was surprised how the local, sheriff is the metaphor. No, they're called sheriffs in the village. And the chairman of the village called them sheriff, and the local residents called him sheriffs. They have some kind of idea that the public assistant to the local inspector. Not all of them have these kind of ideas, but anyway, the most let's say high-profile crimes, they take care and they resolve them before actually calling the police. If there is some heavy or severe crime committed, they actually call the police because those local residents, they know each other face to face, and they are all, if not relatives, but very close people, and they managed somehow to resolve the problems. They call it municipal police, okay? But trying to make this documentary over 3 years, we came to realize some more facts about their life. So this story doesn't, this film doesn't, the documentary doesn't tell the story just of the lives. This is the history of small villages, a small model of the whole of Ukraine. When the war started in Ukraine, when all those processes in the country start to, dramatic or tragic process start to develop, actually that was kind of similar situation on a smaller scale. There was a local separatist who tried to usurp the power, and he said that the chairman has been overthrown, and they started to bring this subpoena or the kind of the calls to try to mobilize the local citizens. So this is kind of the smaller scale situation. Why this story became close to the Western Europeans? Perhaps this story not only about Ukraine, maybe we can talk about some more universal scope. In the diploma reads that which were awarded for cinematographic qualities at home, that they believe that this is a good documentary. But speaking about Europeans, I believe they were interested to know more about the everyday life of Ukrainians, not only in the contact line, the front line, or in the east of Ukraine or in the Crimea, but they were interested in kind of routine life, what the ordinary Ukrainians are thinking about, whether they're close or distant to the European, to the rest of Europe. So I believe that owing to this documentary, the Europeans came to better understand our people and maybe even to more like us. And the last question: where the Ukrainians can actually view this documentary, and what are your plans for the future? We do hope that we'll be able to demonstrate this in Doc UA, which is going to be held in March next year, and we just returned back, and it was very difficult to promise more, but we are looking forward to the Ukrainian first night. Okay, thank you. Now the floor is given to Alisa, who is the documentary filmmaker, director of the Alisa in Warland. So maybe we'll start with a short teaser of this documentary, which was shown also during the Amsterdam festival. Oh, duck swims in the Tisa River. It must be for the man on the Euromaidan before my birthday, as I think it was my favorite Lanko song. I didn't even imagine that it could be a funeral song for those who were killed in Maidan. There are some rules and regulations here. On the night of the attack on the Euromaidan, they did not allow us to leave our hostel. We had to go through the window. As a director, I wanted to film everything because this is my story, my war, my freedom, up to the moment when life became more important than my documentary. Move it. Follow me. This is the dead area, the dead zones. From then over there, the separatists shoot at our convoys. What's your name, girl? Alisa? You've been here for a long time? Well, I actually lost the count over the days I spent here. Why you need this submachine gun? To protect Ukraine. Protect Ukraine. This way? Yep. Move it. Which way? Actually, I was taken prisoner in the west of Ukraine. Alisa in Warland. Actually, we just watched the teaser to the documentary Alisa in the Warland. Can you say the story behind the making this documentary? When actually you were filming that? Why you had the submachine gun? What for? And did this documentary change you? Actually, we started to film this documentary with Luba. This is the second director of this documentary. Part of the war was filmed by myself, and the majority of the frames about myself were taken by her. We were studying in the Karpenko-Kari Art Theater and Cinematography Institute. We went to NJY School in Poland. When we brought our story, and the Polish professor said that we had to make a single project. This is a chance to tell the story of Ukraine and the personal story as well. Yeah, not just something general, but something which is based on our personal experience and our personal emotions and sentiments. Actually, in this teaser, we could see some of the frames related to the Donetsk airport. So can you tell us how much time did you spend in the Donetsk airport, and where else what other place you visited? For the first time when I was in Donetsk, I couldn't film any frames there. They said I present myself as the Russian Today journalist. It was impossible actually to shoot any frames there. And then I visited the checkpoint, the Ukrainian checkpoint between Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, which actually was surrounded by separatists. That took place before Slavyansk was liberated, right? Yes, of course. And it was that specific period of time. I was filming for a week there, then I returned to Donetsk, then again returned to this checkpoint, and I tried to film a documentary for another week. Then I was taken prisoner, and they did not allow me to shoot any. To make this documentary no longer. Then I joined. And a volunteer from the right sector, private sector, and I visited the village of Pisky. We stayed about 1 month. I stayed in the next airport for 2 days. Actually, for 2 weeks, I was requesting to take me to the next airport, and I was the only girl who actually visited the old terminal because all the other journalists were visited the new terminal. And actually, we stayed there in the dark hours of the day, absolutely unprotected area. So I spent there 2 days only, and I had to return back, to come back to Kiev. Actually, you mentioned that you spent some time in captivity with the combatants. What the Ukrainian audience has to know about that? How long you were a prisoner of war? Into what we have to remember about that. I don't know. That was you know. The documentary contains some of the details how it happened. I don't think it's worthwhile to repeat it now. Actually, I was returned from the checkpoint, and the taxi driver actually turned me over to the local combatants, and they said that then that was followed by some interrogations. They tried to get to know where the helicopter landing area or where the checkpoint is located, and they threatened me that we're going to spend a lot of time in captivity. And my friend went to the head to the Panamaru. In those days, he was the head, the chief of the separatists there. He showed my picture and asked about him, and they told him that your girl is found yourself in bad situation. Same can happen to you. So get back. And that was kind of surrealism because there were some weird people. There were a lot of local residents, a lot of militaries, and you could not make out who was the commander. And in between the interrogation, they said we had to give some meals to her. And then some guy who was not the military guy, he did not participate in the warfare. He took me to the canteen, and they provided me with an individual table. He asked me, "Are you a film director?" I said, "Yes." So can you please teach me how to work with how to edit the documentaries of the movies? So it was really a weird situation. I had been in captivity to teach somebody how to take care of editing of the movies. Well, I know that not everything you filmed became part of your documentary, and I know that your story was the center, the core of some other film in where we can see yourself. They are the director and the major heroine of this documentary. Why? So, is there some specific idea behind this? Actually, I mentioned that there were two projects. In my own project, I was not supposed to be a hero or in this movie. Then, when we communicated with our Polish colleagues, we had our great the mentor in this movie. We communicated for 3 hours. Actually, we filmed for 3 hours material. Then we had to cut everything. It was really difficult. It was hard to us to do that because we had to take in consideration the ideas or the opinion of the producers. Sometimes we had to meet him halfway, and when we actually came to realize that if it's your personal story, you have to be responsible for your sincerity, and that's why I tried to be as sincere as I could be in this on the screen. I didn't want to become a hero, and it was difficult to give my consent to that, and to kind of unstrip myself before a big audience, and I tried to dissociate myself from those frames which were filmed, and don't to perceive myself as the specific heroine. So a few words about the festival. What were the actually how it was perceived by the Amsterdam festivals? What kind of press maybe you had? by the art critics, etc. Well, everything was okay. I really like very much this movie festival. I could watch very good films there. I have a girlfriend, Chris, in Amsterdam. When she visited and when she watched our documentary, she approached one of the members of the jury and asked him what would he advise her to see, and he actually advised her to watch our documentaries. This is kind of I believe this is a proof or evidence that our documentary was to the liking of the jury. And the last maybe question, when Ukrainian viewers can watch this documentary, what are your plans for the future? Yeah, again, like my colleague here, I hope that this will be shown in Ukraine and some of the cinema theaters. And the next festival, we are going to go to Moscow. Artex Fest is the only opposition art festival in Moscow. They are going to include our documentary in the festival, the collapse of the empire, and I hope we are not going to be arrested there. So you're going to Moscow next Monday and taking your documentary, whether you show your with the arms in your hands in Pisky among the right sector guys. Aren't you afraid that they're going to detain you? Well, actually, I'm afraid. But the art director of the festival, he asked me, Alisa, are you going to come? He said, yes, I'm planning to come, but this is dangerous. But well, I cannot say no after the communication with this art director. Dear colleagues, should you have any questions or clarifications, raise your hands and shoot. On the Shopkan UCMC, maybe I did not hear properly. What is the budget or the kind of the financial support given to your document? Actually, I do not know anything about the budget of our documentary. That was the task of the producer. I really don't know anything about that. This is a very complex question because I have three producers, and what was the end of the story, I cannot tell you now. I believe this information will be published one day, and MBD perhaps you can get this information. Yulia Verkhovska, UCMC, Roman, I know, as far as I know, it was a co-produced movie, and your documentary is a Polish make. Does it affect the content of your documentaries under the emphasis placed in your documentaries, etc.? Well, I already mentioned, I said a few words about that we cooperated with a producer who had his own vision of this documentary, and of course that documentary was filmed not only for the Ukrainian audience, but maybe first of all for the European audience. That's why some of the things were more developed, for example, open, because for the Ukrainians maybe they do not need this kind of they kind of more digested or explain more explanation provided. Yeah, if you're talking about some international audience documentary meant for international audience, it has to be provided some of the explanations or explanatory notes or material, and we managed to preserve its spirit and soul of the documentary and not to film anything which we would be ashamed of or we would be sorry later on. But if we're talking about the scenes, some historical events we had to explain, but let's say we're talking about, for example, the celebration of the special holiday when the people do not understand sometimes when the people jump into the icy cold water in winter time. We had to explain that. They do not understand why the people sing the special carols. I mean, they believe it's kind of remnants or let's say the heritage from the Russian traditions. We also have to explain that. And for example, during the Victory Day, where they paint the monument to the unknown soldier, it's even the futile efforts even to try to explain to them There is a lot of mysterious things or magic things, kind of enigma to them, despite the fact that this international project, you know, the more clear it is to the audience, the more audience we can attract. If there are many unknown or unexplained things, this will actually lead to the fewer viewers. If there are no more questions, may we congratulate you with this good creative work, and you with the award, special award given to your movie Roman. And I believe that we are going to watch both Alice in Warland and the Ukrainian Sheriff's documentaries during the festival in March 2016. Thank you. And our next briefing will take place in 4 minutes from now, dedicated to the